peace, love, and power. Humam Abdulmalik, Blackanized, International Nubian Consciousness. Conscious chess moves, once again, before the sun come up. This up, being motivated to be up, blessed to be up by the energy of the Creator, to be on the pathway of life, being about growth and development, personal growth and development, in order to become part of a whole, collective whole, of a movement of righteous people, a righteous family, having concern for what's going on in our community, in the community of self, and the community of outside of myself and my extended family, being concerned with what's going on in our community, every issue of our community, the economics of the community, the education of the community, the development of the community, from my perspective, or from me being this human being, a single human being, from my understanding, trying to be part of, not trying, being a part of collective in my activity when I be in the collective. This is an everyday activity, every day that I'm up from rest, every day that I go out the house, my interaction with anybody that I meet, young, old, and in between, I have the same goal to plant a seed of positive energy, of some direction, to say something about the Creator, to spark a conversation of how you feel today, what's going on or whatever, just to let somebody know that somebody cared. I go through my community and I look in the woods and stuff like that, and I see how the ecosystem on this local level is kind of messed up. And, I can't just, look and think about somebody ain't doing nothing, stuff like that. I got to say, what am I doing? And that's in every area of myself and in my community. What am I doing to be part of the solution in my community? And always looking outside of myself, saying, this is going on or that's going on and they not doing nothing about it, or the government ain't doing nothing about it. And well, I know that sometimes you have to do it. You have to take the initiative to be that what you see is wrong. You have to be that action to change that wrong. You got to do it from a love for doing right. You got to be that spark. You got to be that spark to action that if you do it, somebody may see you doing it and want to partake of the action because they know within themselves that, that this should be changed. But they need a spark or whatever, a jump start. They need stimulation. And sometimes you may have to be that stimulation. Today there'll be a couple of things. I know it was a funeral for the sister that got the elder that was accidentally hit with a stray bullet, because there's no information saying she was the prime target or whatever in a gunfight or whatever. But she was put to rest yesterday. May the Creator and our ancestors accept her, and now that she's an ancestor, those that have connection to her have to know that she's just a thought away or a prayer away. And that's for all our fallen brothers and sisters. They are ancestors. So we have to, still the energy that they brought to you all over the years, that all the things that they imparted to you over the years, you got to always use those things that were given to you by any of those victims, young or old, whatever laughter, whatever some good thing that they parlayed to you in your interaction in life. You got to pull on them things, and life is what it is, and and it's hard sometimes that when the person is your mother, father, sister, or brother, or husband, or wife, cousin, or whatever, it'd be hard sometimes. It's a hurting feeling. Especially when it's an unnatural passing or transition, and when it comes from the hand of somebody else that didn't have the right spirit, or dealing with their animalistic nature or predatory nature, and no control, no self-control, no regards for life and stuff like that. We got to hold everybody accountable. We have to reach out, young brothers, take a hold of their soul and shake their spirit and bring them around. It's our job as conscious people, righteous people, or whatever, we have to do that. Because if we don't, this cycle going to continue. And it's been generation after generation. I was listening to Martin Luther King yesterday at one of his speeches. Last night I was listening to it. The things he was talking about, like the lack of economics, the lack of jobs. And he said in this particular lecture, he was talking about the war. So those things, it's been about 49 years, going on 50 years ago that he talked about this. Those things are still going on today. 5 decades after, since him and Malcolm, in that era in time, and these things haven't changed. There's the same problems that we face with today. With all the progress they say that has been made. I mean, they have taken off physical change a long time ago, but they still have the mental change and the spiritual change on us in a most subtle way that, like it's everyday life is all right, but we're being misdirected and being used, and we just being manipulated through the food, through frequencies, through the television, through the phone, everything. They got set up to hinder us in our progress as a people, to be totally about us as a people, to really be as a healed people, so that we can develop an environment, a haven of real love, genuine love for ourselves, and come out of this mode of self-hate and misdirection of this, how easy it is for our young adults to kill each other because of some type of disposition they have to. They feel that they are the one or the man or this or that, whatever terminology that our youth be using today, to walk that walk, that predatory walk, that walk of disregard for human life and all that, because we have not really, we don't have anything in place as a people, and we depend on, say, the government or whatever. But we got enough people with enough finance to build in our community. All we have to do is get behind, or have these people get a law that, so we can build our own rec centers or whatever institutions we need in our communities. Get the permits or whatever. So we know what worked for us in the past. so we know what can work for us now in this present to help us get to maybe the future. And also, it's sort of a shame for us to be redundant, and that we have progress. We have progress to what? I always refer to Ray Charles says, if all of us are not free, none of us is free. I mean, all us, it's got to be an equal playing field. We get caught up in this class system, this system of racism, and we get caught up in it. I'm better than, or I got more than, or this and that. It's all about perception, as they say. What you see, they see somebody doing good, and people like that, or whatever. Or I want to be like that, or but it's stages of progress, of work and development that you get those things, and we have to promote that. We have to promote that in our homes at an early age to our youth, that it ain't no instant gratifications. That's a manipulation. The pleasure centers and all that. All that is to entrap you, to mislead you. We got to work, and sometimes it look like it take a long time to get what you need. But in that time, all it is about growth and development. Molding and shaping yourself first, and then outside of yourself in our community. But everything starts with self first, then in our homes, household, and family. And then, out in the community, everything got to be interconnected. And that's the way that we have this positive growth and development in our community as a people. We have to overcome the indoctrination of this system that is not really have our best interests. It may seem as though it does, but it doesn't. We have to work within it, but we don't be of it. We got to use everything at our disposal, counter to indoctrination, and dealing with understanding who we are as a people. How? Through study. I was making a comment. Galen Coles asks how. The statement I just made. How is about growth and development. Is about spirituality, the mentality. It's about what you put in your computer, which is your brain or your mind. It's going to come out in word, actions, and deeds. But it starts from molding and shaping who we are and information. Not only, we put our children, and it's generation after generation. We go to these schools and they have a certain curriculum that's not really geared for us. We get these degrees and all that, and we get jobs and all that. But it's not about that. It's about us development, infrastructure for us as a people. And it's through this, say, educational system, but we got to develop our own educational system pertaining to us as a people, so that we be in accord with our nature. It's a nature from here, a culture from here, and connected to Akabulan or Africa or whatever. We got to develop culturally about who we are as a people. We can't, like, the indoctrination of this Eurocentric perspective is like counter to our nature as a human being, of melanated content. We all have melanin in us, but ours is running fluidly, and the European or Neanderthal, his is petrified or whatever, it's frozen or whatever. And not only that, we have different natures, we have different perceptions. We are trained or taught like we're in a factory on a conveyor belt, coming from birth, smack you on your butt, send you through your schools, your pre-primary and all that. indoctrination process of institutionalized racism, going through all the first, second, third, fifth, and all that grade schools, not learning about yourself and all the information that's put in your computer, your mind, it be about somebody else. Be telling you a story of lies and deceptions about who you are as a people, your culture, and everything. Most of the indoctrination or education that we go through as children be based on the destruction of a black civilization, our civilization. And it's based on the civilization of barbarism of these people, European Neanderthals. We got to read, we got to study. That's how. We got to teach from a perspective of who we are, where we come from. We got to understand our true nature, our divine nature. Because the reality, Brother Galen asked another question, how can we do this when history showed they destroyed our progress? See, that's what it is. See, we allowed them to confine us in 2017. We're not talking about, like, within that, the 500 years of being in captivity and all that. See, we got to go beyond that. We got to go back, way black, into before 2017. We can't be in AD. We got to be in BC. We got to be in when time didn't really have a real essence. It's a time we got to go back when we built pyramids, when we were here in what they call America before they got here. We gotta read and understand that his lies, with the so-called word his story, is a deception. Their story, the Neanderthal story, is a bunch of lies, a bunch of deception. It's like plagiarism. We got to go back to the walls of ancient Kemet, or in the libraries of Timbuktu or Malaya. We got to go back to the Dongo. We got to go back into the interior of Africa. We got to come over here into South America and Central America, where we find the big old heads of the Amalak, the pictures. That is us. But they say it's something else. It's proof of where we've been. And we left evidence. See, we got to go black beyond their conception of things, because his story is his lies of deception that take away and make our they say we pagans, and then they say that our story is in a mystery, that we don't even have no history, what they try to say, because they don't give us the credit as a people of humanity, of who brought them about, who brought them out of the dark ages. We got to go back and study, not what they give us, but we got black historians. We got, like this brother, Sheikh Anta Diop, the other brother, Chancellor Williams. We got Ivan Van Sertiman. We got Tony Broader, Anthony Broader. We got even President Umar Johnson. We got to pull on these people. Phil Valentine, in every area of education we have. We got to be going into metaphysics. We can't just be caught up in all these institutionalized things like the religions, Islam, Christianity, whatever, because they do us a disservice by not going black further enough to where we were before they came out with these institutionalized religions. We got to know, we got to go back. We got to study those religions to get to the fact, to the black fact. Like in 325 AD in the Nicene Council, NICE, you can Google it and see what that says about Constantine coming together, bringing 353 bishops together and dealing with the Trinity, or creating all that, the perception of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. The Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Where is the sister? Where is the mother? Where is the natural lifeline? It should be the Father, Son, and the mother. Asa, Aset, and Heru. That's the natural path. We got to go back to nature, to nature. The only reality that is in accord with nature is a natural process. and you ask the question how, we don't go by what they teach us. We go to their schools, sure, but we got schools. We got African schools, Baba Zulu down in D.C. on Q Street or whatever. They're trying to get rid of it. They've been trying to get for years. We got to go to black institutions. We got to start teaching, having homeschooling, so we can instill in the minds, in the computer of our children. We got to break this generational curse on all levels, educational, economical, and all that. We have to do it as a people. We got to pool our resources, and those of us who escape and acquire some form of wealth, we got to pool that wealth. I'm talking about the Oprahs, the Michael Jordans, the Mayweather, all these people with so much money that, to help to establish our own communities, build our own educational institution, to build our own movie industries, our own communication for our radio waves. We know that they own all that stuff, these Jews and homosexuals at the top layers of everything that you got to go through and sign contracts and make deals and all that. We just seen some sort of situation like that with the brother, what his name, Steve Harvey. He makes a statement about this brother. He ain't this and he ain't that. But then when the brother called him up in the office and he come out, you see his whole disposition and everything about him changed, like he in a state of fear. He looked like the dude's wife when the sister was smiling and stuff, and when Trump turned away, you seen the whole disposition change. That's how he looked. That's how he seen. First he make this statement, like he this and that. And then when the dude called him up there, he come out the office, it's like his whole thing, his own mannerism changed, and then he tried to justify it about, he talked to Carson and all that. Yeah, Carson probably get him what he asked for and all that to get the people. So the people be like, caught up in what's given. It's a form of tokenism, or a form of manipulation. Then you're going to talk about God gave me this and all that. No, you went up there and submitted to whatever was said to you. I'm going by your body language. I don't know what was said, but I'm looking at you, and I use my discernment, and I look at your disposition. You had that big old smile talking that stuff, but when you come out, that smile is gone, and your disposition is one of, I seen fear in you. That's what I seen. I may be wrong. But a picture tells 1,000 words. Just like the picture of his wife when she was smiling and went down. A picture tells 1,000 words. Or when she was in the company of Obama and Michelle, and they was in, and you see the comparison. See, it's a contrast and reflection that we got to get into. You ask the question, how? Is how we don't listen to them. We just use them like they use us. But we got to educate ourselves. We got to go black to what we have done on the planet. And the information is out there. You can Google it, or you can go get books or whatever. We gotta develop an institution of learning, of self education, self knowledge. It's about self. You have to see our ancestors left this for us. See, the truth is etched in stone, and that stone is in ancient Kemet or whatever, and any place else that we left evidence. It's etched in stone that you have to know thyself. And once you know thyself, you open up into the divine nature that's within you, within this temple, which is the body. The energy that's in us is a divine energy from the Creator, whatever you might want to call it. And yeah, that's right, because he accepted that weakness. That's relating to me and Gaelic Cole interacting, and he said with weakness they put in him in his place or whatever. But we got to interact with each other from this nature, this divine nature. We gotta plug into it. And it's a natural process. All we have to do is be at peace with ourselves and peace with each other. We have to love ourselves first and foremost so that we can love each other. It's our divine nature. It's our divine right to come back into the light of understanding so that we can understand and overstand this realm that we're in. And just want to say also that it's another fallen brother, strong brother, that is transition at the hand of somebody else, not a natural transition. He will be like transitioning into the earth today. The temple will, because his energy is gone in a place waiting to be accepted by the ancestors. It's back in the energy of the Creator. It's the energy that's went back to the place of waiting period to be back infused into the energy and acceptance of our ancestors. That's Brother Anthony Irvin, Manbu. I didn't really know him, but I got a little bit of information about him. He was a strong brother, had a strong leadership qualities, that he planted seeds of cultivation wherever he went. And my affiliation with him is through his cousin, Marcelo Tolliver. And, Marcelo looked just like him. So that spirit and energy, that family connection is great. So I will pay my respects to that strong brother today. And also there's a meeting in Ward 8 about bills being passed about bringing more police into our community, slave catchers, to quell the violence in our community. I say that it isn't the police job in our community. It's our job because it's our community. We live in this community. And we caught up in our daily activities to the degree that we don't take control and control our community. We are letting an element in our community that controls it, a certain aspect of it, and instilling fear in our community, fear in our elders, fear in our youth that don't be partaking of that, but they be picking up that. Okay. Well, the brother asked another question, Galen Coles. He said about the rebuilding of the infrastructure, we can't get government community block grants. Where so we begin? My sympathy to the entire family and friends. Well, again, we have to use what we got within that system. We be in the system, but not of the system. But we got people in the system. But those people got to be about us when they work in the system. It's a movement going on as far as pertaining to, getting grants and all that. But it's also about those who already have financial stability, using some of that money outside of their personal, whatever endeavors and all that, to pool the resources to lift up our community. It's a community effort. I just mentioned Ofri, Tyler Perry, all these multi-millionaires that's of our persuasion, melanated persuasion, but we don't know their mind or their spirit. But they be doing a lot of stuff. Can't take nothing away, but it's always you can do more. If you got the wealth that you got, and if you can do more is needed, and it's not going to hurt you. Because what else can you do with all that wealth? It's just like the Rothschilds, the Mellons, the DuPonts, and all that, in the Cabo states, with all this money they got, they can give everybody. If everybody get $1 million, there's no more complaint. If they give us reparation, there's no more complaint. Then it's on us. See, but we're running a race that we've been running for years. They already started 100 years ago, and we haven't started yet like that. So when it starts, we gotta, catch up to this, and we so far behind economically because we're in this system that perpetrated that. But some of us get through there and do whatever, or they allow us, or lift us up, or motivate us, or sign the contract and make all this money. The Jay-Z's and the Beyonces, and we say that's what they did, or that's my money, like Mayweather. That's my money. I work for it. I fought for it. But what's the reality of paying all that money on different in the athletic arena? For entertainment. It's like barbaric, really. Civilization of barbarism, like when they was in the Roman emperors in the Colosseums. Can't seem to see that. They bloodthirsty. They love blood on whatever level it's on. But we got to come together. My answer to that question, from a personal level, in all humble humility, disposition, because I'm just a student teacher, and I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a politician. I'm an individual that I'm submitting my will to this creative energy, to my ancestors on this pathway of understanding what's in me, my DNA that's already divinely prescripted in me, that seeing what they taught me, I didn't accept. And I knew there was another side to the script. And that other side is us as a people that goes all the way black to the beginning. And everybody come from us. I cannot turn my thinking or perception of my living against that. I'm talking about Islamically, Christianity, or whatever else. Even though I took my Kalima Shahada in 81, became saved and baptized, and my third eye open, consciousness or enlightened, whatever you want to call it, this awareness. But it's like I've been on this path all my life, learning. I went through the other stuff, the cesspool of life, the nefarious activities, all that, in my growth and development, but I never was indoctrinated to the extent that I would be patriotically inclined to this country, because I couldn't. How could I be that way when they told me what they did to my ancestors? They showed me in movies, and they lied about my story. So how could I be so susceptible to America? The great America has not been great in my perspective, or my perception, when these people since 1776, since they had this Constitution and all that, because it would never have been a need for Emancipation Proclamation. It would never have been no need for that, because everybody would have been naturally, it would have been undivisible, right? We all created equal, right? That's what they say. But in the hypocrisy of that, and they show it right in your face, and you'll still accept that because out of fear or whatever. You got all these people, man, it's wild. You got all these people in job positions, they so fearful. Brother I forgot his name, he was a marshal, he had to put in a lawsuit, right? And while he was doing all that, don't you know all his friends of 20 years, 15, they kind of shied away from him because he stood up and spoke out for his right, but he won. And all those, like, I call them Negro pins. It's, it's a high degree of an Uncle Tom. And what they say, they get into another whole little thing, but I'd rather not go into that right now. But I hope I went across or said something that might have, answer your question. And thank you for the interaction and all that. But all I can say, we as a people, we got a job to do. And our job is taking back control of ourselves. We got to relearn, re-educate, recode ourselves, because we've definitely been indoctrinated. We've been influenced by this, last poet say it's a meme machine. And that's related to the Matrix. And that's related to this social narcotics, white supremacy, and institutionalized racism, and along with that Willie Lynch syndrome. All these things we have been attacked upon or from those perceptions, from his lies, the distortion of our reality, our truth, because we are the divine people. And when they give us something like history, like the museum down there, a whole lot of people, I think it's another disservice, because they don't go all the way black to what we have done on this planet Earth. Everything come from us. All the sciences come from us. We don't get credit for that. They took and stole and plagiarized everything that they got from us. Man, reality of that, we can't take on their behavioral traits. We can't take on their ideology. We can't do that. We got to deal with ourselves. Black people always walk away from the brave lone wolf. I strongly salute the lone black wolf, the leaders of the pack. Well, they do that. They do that because, well, he just did, Mr. Galen Coles said, black people always walk away from the brave lone wolf. I strongly salute the lone black wolf, the leaders of the pack. But I say salute myself to those strong individuals. I say that we're all leaders, though. We got to pull ourselves up into that leadership mentality, into the spirituality of knowing who we are as human beings from a perspective of African spirituality. To understand who we are, our strengths and all. But we got to be even the lone wolf or the alpha male or whatever. We have to promote that individuality to be part of the collective, because we're not an island. We can't come from egocentric, self-centered, or arrogant position. I know a lot of people, well, I ain't gonna say a lot of people, I know a few people that have good qualities, but they come from that perspective. They too arrogant or self-centered or egotistical, and they like this lone wolf perception, but they got it to a point or degree that, it's like, a lone wolf like that, but not in a compassionate way to be perceived as a true leader. I experienced that in this realm or dimension, but that's on another level. But in the concept of us being together collectively, we all have to be strong. We have to uplift the weak to be just as strong. The weakest has to be as strong as the weakest, and the weakest got to be as strong as the strongest. Well, that's life. Is what it is. It's life, and we got going to this. I'll drop this little note or the seed here. See, we got agent provocateurs also. We had them. We had them in the '60s and had them before that. Some by choice, some out of fear, whatever. But the sacrifice that we have to make to be part of this pathway of our ancestors to establish freedom of mind and spirit and body. Sometimes you're gonna be faced with living, and you're gonna be faced with dying. But what's the price for freedom? You have to be willing to accept death. You have to be like, I know it says that your connection is weak. It says that because I don't know if they do it or whatever. I don't know. Just stay with me if you can, and may the ancestors bring it back. I don't know if that's because I know I got it plugged up or whatever, but what can I say? I just keep on going, and we'll keep on going. See, our connection is already made. We don't have to deal with this connection because we're on the same page. We just got to be unique in our efforts to grow and develop our community and grow ourselves, and know whatever waits us is already there. And when we get in that time and space, may we get the best of it and be on the better side of it, because whatever we walk into is already there. And when we get there, maybe sometime we have to make a choice. That will happen. Sometimes the choice is out of our hands. Somebody else have another thought. Somebody think you done something or whatever, and then, or it might be the CIA, NSA, NSC, or whoever to come and get you. So that's what it be. So our life we have to have no fear. I mean, we have a natural instinct. We don't want to die and this and that, but we got to be continent of that we life is part of death and death is part of life. Is what's the living and the dying for? Dying senselessly is not a good death. The death of a warrior, building and sustaining our community, lifting up our children and educating them, and reaching out to the misguided young warriors to try to get them to stop this nonsense in our community, then it's worth it. It's worth any and everything to uplift our people. We enjoy ourselves, whatever we do for enjoyment, but the same enjoyment got to be, in the effort to build up our community wholeheartedly, with sincere effort, with a love for our people, because it's like you got to stop. It's generational, and it's been going on. Like I listened to Martin Luther King, and it didn't surprise me, because I already know, because him and Malcolm, everything that they said or they was fighting against or for about 50 years ago, it's about 49 right now, but it'll be 50 soon. It still exists today. So where's the progress that we made? We made some progress, but not the progress that we should have made. If the same thing still exists, we still got the same problem. So the problem is generational, and it's created generational, and then they allow a lot of people to get through the loopholes to make it seem as though, oh, he's doing all right, and they create these aspirations for our youth and everything to become multimillionaires and all that. But in doing that, they still like big kids, man, playing games on the video games all day, all night, and chasing ladies all day and all night, like animals, like they always in heat. And we got to have conscious brothers that's spiritual warrior priest kings, and we got to have our matriarchy, melanated warrior oracle priestess queens. And we got to come together so we can be an example of this melanated growth in this combinated universe, so that we as a people can be examples of who we are. We got to go black again so that we can be in control of our communities. First in control of ourselves, then our communities, then spread that out. Not as a cancer, not as something harmful, but something that's positive through harmony and peace and love. We overcome the negative qualities of self-hate that's instilled in us, the manipulation by design through the frequency, through chemicals coming out the sky and the food, the GMO foods, the foods, they taking the seeds out and got chemicals in the food. We got to go back to being naturally inclined to the divine nature that we had. We got to understand the sciences of who we are, the chakra centers and the kundalini and the information of the third eye, and it's the top of crown, the chakra on the crown, where all this energy come into our being. We got to understand that we are spiritual beings. We got to go back to African spirituality, even though we practice, Christianity, Islam, and all that, being Hebrew, Israelite. But it's all about divide and conquer. We don't need that no more. We got to come together. We can worship the Creator how we want, give it the name that we want, but we know it's only one. It's one Creator, universal. And if the Creator wouldn't have us separated like that, got to use common natural sense. If there's a Creator and everything come from it, why would He create fractions in that? Let's be naturally common sense. If it's universal, why would it be fractional like that? Why would it create fighting against yourself? It's man's nature that creates those concepts. And we got to go deeper still into the concept of saying God and the devil. We got to understand that this may be misconception also to keep us divided and scared and looking up in the sky, when we should just be looking in the reflection of the mirror and saying who we are. The energy is in us, because it all comes from one, and we are part of the one. We're not divided, we're together. The division comes in indoctrination of these people who want control. They want control of our soul, our thinking. They want us to be subservient. It might be want us to be food, because they're cannibalistic. We got to wake up to these people, man. Man, their nature is like a beast. They're cannibalistic, they're predatorial, and all that. And we take on that nature. And we got to be diligent in our observation, what's going on around us, man. We got people coming from other countries that really do eat people. Then we got this thing with this Flacco and this 2K that's developing zombies and all that, like Walking Dead, that they do attack people also. We got to look at these movies not from an entertainment perspective, but from an educational perspective. Because they will tell you stuff right in front of your face and they shoot right past you. And we don't go into enough books to know who we are, so we can fortify ourselves with a spiritual eye and discernment, and we can see things. And our mentality or our perception is heightened, and we can feel through the energy. We got to deal with our auras, so we can see, so we can feel, so we can discern. And we got to develop ourselves, because it's like, I know that in my perception of just me, I know that I'm gifted in a lot of ways, and most of my ways of gifts is like discernment. I can deal with the energy of a person and like or dislike or whatever from a natural perspective. The Creator has blessed me with that. One of the blessings that He gave me, other than writing and speaking, I guess, because I don't know, otherwise I haven't been indoctrinated or educated. I ain't part of no fraternity. I ain't part of no Masonic whatever and all that. And none of that. Everything that I got is natural, and I'm self-taught. It's a gift from the Creator and my ancestors. And this, I was ordained or coming to this world to be who I am at this point now. All the revolutions around the sun in my experience, I don't have a choice in the matter. That's why I'm in the situation or the position that I am. So I can be like this. And I have not been manipulating. I have not sold my soul, and I will not. I'm not a patriot. I ain't about all this American hip, 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 hooray and all that. But I pray that we can come and establish our perception of ourselves within this system, develop an infrastructure. Again, I have to go back to that. Unify, organize, and develop an infrastructure within this structure that we in this system. We got to turn it black around, like they took it from us. We got to get it back and go black. And with that, I'm gonna go this morning and pay my respects. And again, there's a meeting around on Shining Place at the government building around there about this violence in our community, about their getting more police in our community to police our community. I say we are those people of our community that live in our community, and we need to be the ones to implement control in our community. We need to be the ones to be able to talk to our sons and our daughters, the ones with the guns, and say, brothers, you're going to be an army. Stop. It's foolish to have a war in our community against each other. Living across the street or 5 blocks away from each other, been to school with each other, maybe probably played basketball and all that together. And then you come, enemies, where you don't have no regards for your friend's life. It might be a relative or somebody else's life because he live on a different street, or he messed with a girl, or he didn't bring enough money or whatever. You talking about, man, man, we got a lot of learning to do, and we got to do a lot of healing. And we got to do this yesterday, and do everything that you do in love and understanding of who you are, of the universe, so that we can have a profound effect on this universe that's being controlled by those people with no soul. You can see who's in the top seat now. The mannerism, the character, personality, and the reality of it. You can see the disposition of the supposed to be the soulmate or whatever of his, and how she is like in a state of fear because a picture is worth 1,000 words. But this person is the commander and thief of these united snakes of hypocrisy. So we got to develop. We got to organize. We got to develop an infrastructure. He building a wall, right? And the thing is, he building a wall supposed to be keeping people out. But that same wall is keeping people in also. You got to look at it. We got to look at that. They got the UN, right? We got the UN and the FEMA and all that. They got camps that they already established. You got to look at that. They got cats. It's about 10 feet wide, 10 by 10 or whatever. You got to look at all this drugs, the flakka and the 2K that's out there and what it creates in people's psychic and all that. You got to look at all this stuff. If we don't come together with the 10,000 strong, the 300 in D.C., and do it like and have it established, and we probably have to defend ourselves from a lot of stuff, and we have to defend ourselves mostly probably from ourselves. So that's why we got to change ourselves so we can become together, unified as one. So when we deal with our situation, we will know our enemy. And the enemy won't be ourselves. Then again, we got so many Negro pins that I don't know. We gotta grow. We gotta grow spiritually. We will see by the aura, the energy of the Creator and our ancestors that those are with us and those are not. We must go try to get our young youth, our young warriors, and bring them into the fold of the unified movement through love and understanding and peace and harmony. And so that we can overcome this self-hate that's been instilled in us, injected into our hearts, minds, and souls by this social narcotics of white supremacy and institutionalized racism, along with the Willie Lynch syndrome. It's right there, man. We got to overcome with that disindoctrination that they have then done to us over the years. Got to. It will be our only salvation. By divine decree, we can do it. All we got to do is submit to the will of the Creator that's in us, that understanding. We got to open our hearts and our minds and our spirits to a universal love for each other as brothers and sisters, and do it in peace. Do it today. Do it yesterday. So with that, I say, that breath of life that the Creator put into us, do something with it, man. Don't be here and do nothing. Be here, be a part of the solution of solving the problem, establishing peace and love. Peace and love in our community. Get our sisters, the matriarchy, melanated oracle, priestess queens to support our efforts. The warrior priest kings, we got to come together and manifest the dream into reality in our community and in ourselves, so that our ancestors would not have died in vain. We got to overcome all this personal pain and come together in peace and love and understanding. Yesterday, I love y'all. Motivate somebody. Tell somebody you love them. Stimulate them and be part of the movement. Worldwide. Peace.